This week on the Southern Fried Philosophy podcast, Jesus gets kicked out of the Southern Baptist Church.
What?
We talk about a televangelist that gets his, fourth jet? And our special guest is Serge Floredes from Irish Whiskey Magazine. We have all of that and more on this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy podcast. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy podcast, where two guys take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, and you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from the Busted Knuckles studio right here in beautiful downtown historic Concord, North Carolina. I'll be your host, Biggin, and how about you? We've got a great show lined up for you as always, but before we begin, let me introduce you to the second half of this flaky biscuit. That's right, I'm talking about the pride of Anderson, South Carolina, but most of you probably know him best as the Silver-Tongued One, 2016's honorable mention hot dog contest eater of the year, the inventor of the redneck egg roll. Give it up on old mic number one, it's Mojo! How about you, buddy?
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning. Thanks for pressing play. I always say tune in, but thanks for pressing play. Thanks for selecting this podcast to listen to. You can always please share our episodes. You can, if you're not subscribed already, please go to one of our formats: Google Play, iTunes, or Stitcher. Subscribe. Give us a review. You can also check us out on the Facebooks at Southern Fried Philosophy. You can find us on the webs at southernfriedphilosophy.com. Also on the Twitters and Instagram at SFP Radio. And I think that's, YouTube. YouTube.com/SFP Radio. I think that's it.
Come on. Just a little bit of housekeeping tips. By the time that you get this episode, however you're listening to it, you should be able to go to our Patreon link at patreon.com/SFP Radio. If you decide you want to give $20 a month, we will send out a shirt to you. And then if you just want to give to the show just to keep it running, we would greatly appreciate that. So we will have that up and running, and it'll be on our website, so you can check it out there at southernfriedphilosophy.com. If you also want to check us out in studio live, you can send us an email at sfpradio@gmail.com, and you yourself can be sitting in the Bad Mother Smokers smoking hot seats right here in the Busted Knuckles studio. So we would love to have you. You can just hang out, chill with us. I mean, we got the lights down low. I mean, it's kind of romantic in here. I'm just saying, you might want to join. So I'm gonna
always bring a mini chicken nugget tray and a six-pack of beer.
Good.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic. I would love a chicken mini tray right now.
Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. Not.
Side note, did you know that Charlotte is going to be one of the test cases for these chicken sliders now?
Oh, really? Like on the bigger mini buns?
Yeah, I guess so. I think that they're chicken biscuits are becoming chicken minis.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how it's going.
We've always talked about this. My fixation with Chick-fil-A, I absolutely adore it, but their biscuits do suck.
They are awful.
They're the worst.
I did have one, this was a while ago, that wasn't as dry as sand, so it was a little bit better.
They do everything else right, but they can't get the biscuits.
They can't. And
sausage.
Listen, don't try that sausage. My wife said to me, do you want a sausage biscuit from Chick-fil-A? And I looked at her like she was crazy. I was like, what?
There's a Bojangles right down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go that. Anyway, I'm going to ask you like I ask you every week, Mojo, how you be doing?
We talked about this before this show, but you know what's got my biscuits burning?
Tell me.
8th grade graduation.
8th grade. You've made it through 8. Congratulations.
Why do we do this? Just like we talked about the dance I had to take my daughter to, and how these have gotten so expensive. But how, when, and why, and where do we start 8th grade graduation? Are we expecting our kids not to reach the apex of 12th grade so that we have to go ahead and just cut it a quarter of the way through and congratulate them? I just don't understand that. So.
Well, they're moving to a new school, right? So there's that.
They stopped kindergarten graduation, which is way cuter.
Yeah.
A bunch of 8th grade turds graduating. So, I don't understand. This thing.
Look at our graduation statistics, and that actually might not be too far off.
Well, if they start using the 8th grade statistics to justify funding, it'll be like, 100% of our students graduated. Yeah, I don't quite get it.
Yeah.
So how you been doing?
I'm good. We're coming off of Memorial Day. So did you have a good Memorial Day holiday?
Yeah. We had some neighborhood over, I guess. Grilled out. Done some other things I can't remember now. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Nice.
Chillaxing. You?
Yeah. On Memorial Day, we literally just watched some Billions on TV.
Okay.
Caught up on a couple other shows, and then just fell
So you
asleep.
had a Netflix and chill.
We did. We did a lot of Netflixing and zero chilling.
I got you.
So no hello time for that. So anyway.
Well, there you go.
But I will tell you, upcoming, so the show's going to be released on Monday. So this very night, if you don't have anything else to do, I am going to Frank Caliendo. I'm really, really excited about Frank. He does really good impressions. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff, but
I think he had a Netflix special. I think I've seen.
he's really good at his different impressions. Did Gruden, Morgan Freeman, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just a sucker for that. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you ain't got anything else to do and you're listening on Monday, just go to Comedy Zone Charlotte, I think it is, and you can see if there's any tickets left. I picked some up, and there's not a ton left. So anyway,
You better get on it.
get on it. So that was good. So we're going to go into some wacky news.
Ooh, baby, it's making me crazy. It's making me crazy. Every time I look around, it's in my face.
All right, so this volcano is getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, it's destroying a lot of real estate, and probably creating some new real estate opportunities for the future.
I've been getting emails from that Nigerian prince that says there's new land available.
Oh, wow.
In Hawaii if
There you
I
go.
want to go ahead and buy some.
Low rate.
Yeah.
Wow, I
It's
guess
not yet
I guess he
formed yet.
finally got his money and has reinvested in Hawaii.
Speaking of, one of the things we did also on Memorial Day is we got suckered into beachfront condo, HGTV,
Oh, jeez.
all this kind of stuff. And we just sat there and vegged on like 4 episodes until I realized, like, A, I got to pee. And then 2, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, how am I 4 episodes into wanting a beach house? That thing is deadly. It is awful.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so this is there is awful stuff that's happening over there in Hawaii, but there is one thing that actually kind of made me laugh. The U.S. Geological Survey took a break from giving out serious updates about the Kilauea, I don't know how to say it, volcanic eruption, and they decided they're going to answer some of the tweets that were going on. So Mr. @JFur asked, is it safe to roast marshmallows over volcano vents, assuming you had a long enough stick, that is? Would it result in poisoned marshmallows? They came back to say, yeah, don't try that. That's
You're
not a
an
good
idiot.
idea. Yeah, basically. And then they were saying some different thing like the sulfuric acid. They gave like actual examples of what would happen. But I like where Jay's head is at. Like if there's something that could roast a marshmallow
In record time, too. Yeah, I like that. It's actually not a bad idea.
is there anything that you've, besides a fire, roasted a marshmallow on?
Well, hot dogs, the traditional stuff, or you
Right.
do s'mores.
But have you roasted it on anything weird besides a fire?
I've actually cooked on I've wrapped food in foil before and placed it on like the manifold of my car and a motorcycle. I've done that before, and you ride 60 miles, pull over, open this pack, and all of a sudden you got like campfire salmon
Seriously?
and vegetables. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you serious?
I've done it, yeah,
No, you haven't.
I have.
You wrap it in foil, put it on your
Like,
engine,
yeah.
and let her eat,
Yep.
and then it cooks it.
Yep.
You are bullcrapping me.
Yep. Learned it from my grandfather, who was a long road trucker. He'd throw a little bit of ground beef and some
You are
other vittles.
lying.
Yeah, I swear.
Seriously? Because I'm going to go try this.
Well, we had to take that road trip we keep threatening. make us a 4-course dinner on the engine.
We're going to have some beef and macaroni by the time we hit
Some, yeah.
Asheville. Oh, do you have a wacky news?
Yeah, a Florida woman named Crystal Methvin arrested on drug charges.
Seriously?
Yeah. St. Augustine, Florida woman with an unfortunate name is facing what is at least her 15th arrest on drug charges. Saturday morning, police responded to an anonymous complaint and found 3 people sitting in a car. People searched the vehicle and found drug paraphernalia and a substance they field tested positive for, guess what? Her
crystal
drug of
meth.
choice? Crystal meth. So Crystal Methvin and Doug Nickerson were arrested on possession charge 15 times.
Oh, my gosh.
15 times.
Oh, my gosh.
To say she has a habit would be an understatement.
The fact, can you say what the name of the drug is?
What?
What is it?
Crystal meth.
What's the whole thing?
Crystal methamphetamine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you went over that like it was you got tongue tied.
Crystal methamphetamine. Yeah. But 15 times. Obviously, she has a problem, and you're not going to be able to charge her way out of addiction. So, anyway, yeah, unfortunate name of the
15
year.
times, and that's her actual
Crystal
name.
method. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, lady. So this is the one that we said on the teaser. Christ's statue is removed from the SBC church for being too, quote, Catholic. So there's a statue out in front of the Red Bank Baptist Church. It's been there for more than a decade, and it's going to be taken down because it was confusing people thinking they were going into a Catholic church instead of a Baptist church. So Jesus is getting kicked out of the Southern Baptist Church. They discovered that there were too many people that thought it was Catholic in nature, and they are taking that down. So sorry, Jesus, you're out.
Only in Catholic churches, I guess. Wow. You think maybe you could have dropped some other advertising or something instead of taking the statue away, but
yeah,
I guess that was not appropriate or didn't think of that, but whatever. But
maybe the statue should have been sponsored by Chick-fil-A, and then it would have stuck around.
Good point. Good point.
Do you have anything else?
I don't. I think you had a couple of them, so I left it to you.
All right. So that's our wacky news brought to you by Webmerized. If you want a clean, crisp website, go check them out at webmerized.com. That's webmerized.com. And you can get 10% off if you mention Biggin. So go check them out at webmerized.com. We'll be right back, and we will have some news stories. And also don't forget our special guest,
Serge Floredes.
Serge Floredes. I don't know why I got confused. That's at Irish Whiskey Magazine. So we will be right back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Words cannot describe how awesome Robert and his team at Webmerized are. In our time of need, Robert came through for us and devoted more time than expected to help our organization develop our new website. It truly is a blessing to have an individual that can speak to the average person not in the IT world in a manner that can easily be understood. The process of working with his team was painless, and I look forward to working with them for future projects. Our website is spectacular, and I'm really proud of what was developed by Webmerized. Thanks. Don't take Stella H's word for it, and also Southern Fried Philosophies, but go out to webmerized.com, WEBMERIZED, or check out the sponsors link on our website. And if you mention the word Biggin in your order, you'll get 10% off. Check them out at webmerized.com for your web services needs. All right, we are back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, and here's a couple of news stories that we're just going to kind of throw out there and kind of get our ideas on those.
Yeah.
So here, kicking it off, is a televangelist says that God told him he needs his fourth private plane. Louisiana televangelist Jesse Duplantis says that he wants.
You never heard of this guy before?
I don't know. I've seen it. I didn't know his last name and I didn't know how to say it. Wants a $54 million private jet so he can spread the gospel. He's saying that he specifically wants this Falcon 7X. So that he can spread the good news. It travels about 6,000 miles and costs $54 million new. You might be able to get a used one for $20 million, so that's easy peasy. He's saying that the Lord has told him that he should get this plane. That he asked him, "Dear Lord, how am I going to pay for it?" And then he said that the Lord told him, I didn't ask you to pay for it, I asked you to believe for it. Don't really agree with that. And then he's going to keep asking or trying to get this plane. But his fourth plane, man.
Well, he's not the only one. He's in good company. I think Kenneth Copeland done the same thing.
Yep.
Creflo Dollar has done the same thing. It's as a follower of Christ, I'm not judging these guys, but $54 million would feed a lot of people. It'd clothe a lot of people.
Yeah.
It would help a lot of widows and widowers out.
Yeah.
It would help a lot of kids who don't have legs that have been removed by IEDs or disease. I mean, $54 million for your own personal luxury jet to spread the gospel. Yeah, that's not my kind of Christianity I like. So
He said if Jesus was here today, he wouldn't be traveling on a donkey. So therefore, that allows him to get a plane.
I mean, Christ did take the servant position, but probably a position of servant. So I'm sure 2018 he'd probably want to be on the social medias, cool haircuts and latest product trends. Yeah, you're right, Jesse.
Yeah, you got it, nailed it. It frustrates me. Like, okay, even if the dude's got 4. This is his 4th, so that implies that he's already got 3 private jets. What do you need the 4th one for? Like, y'all, is one not good enough for you?
Yeah, I think I was reading on the article. He has to stop and refuel. That's his only. That's it. Yeah, that's a big thing, big catch, and what? For all the flack that we receive for misdoings of the church and stuff like that, we just that one article right there, we deserve every bit of the flack that we get, every bit of criticism that we get from just the secular society. We deserve that all, man.
Yeah,
every bit of it. So
it makes me sick. Can I just be honest with you?
I can't wait till the Babylon Bee comes out with something. You don't know what the Babylon Bee? Babylon Bee is a satirical Christian website that kind of pokes fun at churches and movements, subculture, and Christianity. But it's kind of like the Onion for Christians.
You know what got sold? They sold it.
Who they sell it to?
Well, the guy that started it sold it off to. He didn't want to do anymore, so he kind of sold it off to some people that were already writing for him.
Gotcha.
But golly, y'all, 4th private jet.
Yeah, I guess flying commercials so bad.
Yeah, what they were saying is like, well, if you have a conference and it's in, I don't know, Africa, I'm just making something up, and then you have to fly commercial, what happens when it gets delayed and all that kind of stuff, which I may give a pass on that.
But you know what, though? There's actually things for private chartering of jets.
Yeah.
And you can have direct flights into anywhere.
Yep.
So this is I'm sorry, this is just a vanity thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's just a supreme luxury vanity thing.
Yeah.
And I take issue with people like that because I'm not one of these people that believe that pastors can only make a certain amount of money.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because the pastors,
Yep.
good pastors out there doing good work, receive a lot of flack for if they make more than the average pastor from 1950. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I take issue with that. I have no problem with these guys who make that. So I'm not part of that brand. But these guys out there that just are self-rewarding with the message of John 3:16 basically and a few other things, I take extreme issue with that.
Yeah.
And if I'm not a big fan of the tax and IRS, but if the IRS is seriously look at them, go at them because I think they're misusing the 501c3, and I think they're misusing Christ's name for personal reward and profit. And the sad thing is, we all sleep 6 feet under, and we all have to be called after death for our actions. So
you know what would be great is when he dies that he has to fly commercial to heaven. that would be awesome.
it'll probably a slow train.
Right.
But no, it just I just take extreme issue with this. And like I said, if somebody wants to privately donate a jet to them, that's fine.
Sure.
But collecting those $5 and $10 checks from grandma that watch your program every week, and them seriously, but I also believe God will bless them for their generosity too.
Sure.
But I do not like this pandering for money with your 10 cup out asking for something so extravagant. $54 million. That's more money than probably dozens and dozens of his listeners will ever acquire an income in a whole lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So I just it's a pure vanity thing.
And what happens when the Falcon 8X comes out, and then now you can go 10,000 miles.
With special when it has, because his doesn't have custom cup holders, he needs the extra cup holders, so he's got to upgrade. So, but I tell you, Jesse, I got a dealer's license. You can call me. We'll see if I can find you one at auction, a little cheaper.
There you go. Yeah, I wonder if he's planning on selling his other 3 to buy the one. Like that would almost make sense. Yeah. But I mean, if you're just wanting another one, then I don't have any. Yeah. I ain't got nothing for you. You can't have nothing. You can't even have your 4th jet. The other one that I wanted to bring up is Roseanne. So Roseanne sent some tweets out this past weekend. They canceled her show because of the said tweets. What are your thoughts on?
Well, do we have the Do you have the direct tweets?
Even if we did, I don't know if we should say them.
Anyway, I can't find anything. But anyway, yeah. So Roseanne Barr. Interpretations of these tweets is left up to you. I won't tell you what to think. If you can find them screenshots, you can read them. But basically, she compared Valerie Jarrett, who was an Iranian American immigrant who sat prestigiously somewhere in a high cabinet position with Obama. And anyway, Roseanne tweeted her disgust and disdain for this lady, which I wasn't a fan of her either, due to some of her extracurricular activities outside the office as far as connections with certain organizations. But yeah, anyway, Roseanne tweeted some stuff, and she consequently got banned, or I think from
Canceled.
Twitter.
Did she?
Or I think she's either being banned from Twitter or she's canceling her Twitter account. But yeah, she has subsequent.
Easy for you to say. Let's try that
Anyway,
again.
She has lost her show, her high-ranking show. What was the name of the show?
Roseanne.
She lost her show, Roseanne, that just actually came back this year after being off for a decade or so. I mean, so
And it was the number one
right
comedy, I think,
Right.
on ABC.
Yeah. So no mas Roseanne.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that these tweets are right by any stretch, but does that warrant being a show being canceled?
Well, number one, I think the tweets. I didn't see the whole thread because suppose there's a whole thread. So
Yeah.
I haven't, be honest with you, I haven't read them. I read one of them, and the one that I read is, if you'd read it with loose interpretation, you may not see a tweet or racism because a lot of people are seeing that. And if you read it into the tweet, then it could be. I don't know. I wasn't Roseanne during that that time period when she was writing it. I think she did try to blame Ambien on her.
She did.
So,
she said,
yeah.
"I'm not racist."
So-
it was Ambien.
So obviously, yeah, of course. One of the pharmaceutical companies tweeted back to her about that. I don't think the side effect of Ambien's racism, but so obviously that kind of leads to it that maybe she did have some racist tones to it. Anyway, her being banned. I mean, Disney that owns ABC is an independent company, or it's a
Right.
publicly held company, but obviously they will make decisions based on what they think their best interests are. I mean, that's up to them. I don't think many people watch ABC anymore. Anyway, I think everybody streams, but that's a company decision they have to make. Where I disagree is there's a extreme hypocrisy in Hollywood. So anyway, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, like, those tweets with that show being canceled, there's 200 people that's going to lose their job because of that.
Sure.
Which is lights and cameras guys and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. It just seems a lot.
It's a little premature, I think. I think that everyone, I mean, just like there was an example this past the last Rockets Cavaliers game in Houston. The survivors of the Santa Fe, some of the baseball team and things like that came on the court, and they were holding hands and stuff during the national anthem. Well, off to the right, there was a young black lady who wasn't holding hands with the baseball team. So social media leaves it up to them. So you leave it up to social media. Social media fires back and says, "Look at those racist white baseball players for not holding this young black lady's hands." Well, guess what? The black lady actually spoke up on local news and said, "Look, I don't like to touch other people. It was nothing to do with racism.
Right.
She goes, I grieve in my own way. I didn't want to touch anybody."
Yeah.
And of course, if you pan out from the picture, that shows that several other people weren't holding hands also.
Yeah.
So I think social media has a tendency to run towards a little bit of smoke and try to pour gas on it. So, but yeah, I think ABC Disney has a lot of questions to answer because one of their late night comedian Jimmy Kimmel has little games on a show. What's in my crotch, where he asked anonymous women to fill his crotch up to discover what's in that. Yeah.
Did not know that.
Jimmy Kimmel has played blackface on his show during skits.
Yeah.
Now, do I think Jimmy Kimmel's racist? No. But do people automatically run towards blackface and automatically call racism that? Yes.
But they're not going to do it on Kimmel because
No,
Kimmel,
no. He's a darling. And Wanda Sykes, who immediately jumped on Twitter and said she'd never come back on ABC or Roseanne's show. She compared Donald Trump to an orange orangutan.
Yeah.
I mean, where does the standard start and where does the double standard end? I don't know.
A couple points on this. I do think it's funny that ABC has not thrown out the idea of rebooting Roseanne just without Roseanne now, because it's such a moneymaker for them. I thought that was funny. But your double standard. Can I also point out Louis Farrakhan this week also tweeted. I don't know if you saw this or not, but he wants to end all white men. In a tweet, why should there be an end to him? In parentheses, white man. This is what he's saying.
All right.
Because his nature is not in harmony with the nature of God. He wants to literally get rid of white men. The white man was only given 6,000 years to rule. You cannot deny that he has ruled. But what on his principles did he rule? Righteousness, truth, justice, fairness? I don't think so. And he keeps on going to say that basically we want to get rid of all white men.
Well,
so,
Hillary Clinton had also said in one of the shows that she believes that, or actually in a speech, that we should kill all white people, or old white people. It was actually a quote from a speech because they were the ones who were more leaning towards conservative voting and possibly swinging major elections. So should we hold her accountable? I mean, how many times is there's a writer for, I think it's MSNBC, Joy Reid, who has a show. Well, when she made some comments and anyways, people started digging in her past and looked through some internet archives and found her personal blog, and she made some very disparaging comments against homosexuals. She still has a show. Of course, Joy Reid comes out and says that she was hacked, and then when they came out and proved that the hack was not a hack, it was actually her, then she had to kind of apologize and backtrack.
Yeah.
I don't understand why there's a double standard.
Well, even the comedian that's making fun of Sarah Sanders, is that
Michelle Wolf.
Yeah, like, I mean, the stuff that she was saying wasn't funny.
No,
like,
no,
I mean,
it wasn't funny.
There has to be, what you're saying is there has to be consistency.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to do something, we have to look at everybody, no matter what side of the aisle that they fall on, what political or religious or whatever belief that they have, and say, is this acceptable or is this not?
Yeah, and also, if we're going to criticize people, let's criticize people. And I think we should be able to criticize people, just like I was criticizing Jesse Duplantis, the preacher.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing all preachers. I'm criticizing that man as an individual.
Right.
I believe he's bastardizing the gospel and spreading the gospel.
Yep.
Just like if I criticize Michelle Wolf, the hack comedian, for her new show on Netflix, I'm not chastising all comedians. I'm not chastising Netflix. I'm just chastising her poor performance and Netflix's reason why they have a contract with her.
Yeah.
Just like the Obamas have signed a deal with Netflix to produce movies and TV shows. Do I think that's the wisest move in the history of Netflix? No, but they have the money to spend it. So if they want to do that, they can do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're going to have high viewership. It'll just be kind of a centerpiece of trophy for them. But I honestly don't think it'll make a difference. I don't think it'll increase their subscribership, and I think it'll probably maybe piss off a few.
Yeah.
But I wish we could criticize people and not all of a sudden we take, for example, if you take for the simplest form, was Rosie O'Donnell comparing Valerie Jarrett to the Planet of the Apes, or was she calling her an ape? I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly I couldn't tell you, but let's not brand her as a racist against all people. Maybe she has a personal vendetta against the lady. I don't know, but still, is it a form of racial epitaph? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think we automatically jump to the nth conclusion on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And just we dive down deep.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they doubled down on it. And if Roseanne's guilty of it, sure, whatever, pay the price for it. Just kind of like our grandma's our favorite Southern grandma cook who got caught on hot mic one day.
Yeah.
Maybe saying that she in the past had used the N-word, and all of a sudden she lost her whole empire. So, I mean, there's repercussions for everything you say. So, but I'm not one of these people that I've been seeing on Facebook. Well, share this if you support Roseanne.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember a few years ago, she was hated by conservatives.
Yeah. Yeah.
conservatives, anybody that loved the red, white, and blue, hated Rosie O'Donnell for making a mistake during
Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr. Hated O'Donnell. Hated Roseanne Barr for her rendition of the Star Spangled Banner.
Spitting on
in
the baseball game.
The same conservatives are like decrying her free speech now and being pulled. Man, I think your memory may have lapsed. So
we're good at that.
Yeah.
Somebody that supports Trump, that's a celebrity, we're like, oh, we're all about you now.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of backfiring, so old Morgan Freeman is getting caught up. I think somebody came out with a couple of suggestions or saying that he was lewd to them, said some things that he shouldn't have, and now he's being lumped into the same boat as Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby.
Hashtag Me Too movement.
The Me Too movement.
Well, you know what? If this is truth, it'll come out. If it's just a bunch of hearsay and rumors, that I think it'll flush out.
Yeah.
Do I think Morgan Freeman probably said some stuff? I don't know.
Yeah.
The truth of time will tell.
But he's the voice of God, you know.
Well, actually, I love Morgan Freeman. Him and Denzel and some of the great actors of their generation. Yeah. So I just don't think he has it. I mean, Morgan's been married to the same woman for a lot of years.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
what I'm hearing, and this is just from reading articles, is there was a pregnant woman that was close by when he was having a conversation with Michael Caine, and she walked up and stopped when they were close by, and from what they're saying is that they were discussing a island that they were visiting that Michael Caine went to in South Africa, and Morgan Freeman looked at the lady that was standing by them, evidently looked her up and down, and then he said something to the fact of, "Man, I'd like to be there," and then like, I wish I was all up in that. But he wasn't talking about the woman. He was talking about the island and the vacation.
I think we take creative license with hurt feelings now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
the other thing too, let me just point out that if it is true, I want it to come out, and I want justice to be served. But I also will remind you of the Boy Who Cried Wolf story, and that if we just keep saying this over and over again, it will minimize all the other ones that are real.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it just gets inundated, and it doesn't validate those that are actually being honest and true about it.
That's right.
So
I agree.
I don't know. My last story for tonight that I kind of want to bring up is that there was a gunman that was killed by a bystander after injuring two at an Oklahoma City restaurant shooting. So there was a guy that went into the restaurant, started shooting, killed two people. He comes out of the restaurant, and a citizen that was armed pulled out his concealed carry, shot the dude, killed him, potentially saved lives. So the point that I kind of wanted to talk about that is you don't hear that a lot in the news, and this was something you kind of had to dredge up to see.
Side note, Disty Simpson from Fill My Basket organization that we had on the podcast was actually several miles down the road from when that happened. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Connection to the show. There you go.
Bye-bye.
But, we don't hear about that at all. And over, I think that there are robberies that are foiled. There are foiled, like I'm in 1950.
There's some pesky kids.
There's robberies that are foiled or don't happen because people are concealed carrying, and we don't hear these stories enough. So when they do come, I want to at least note, bring them up so that people can hear that. So
absolutely.
I don't. And the thing is, it's tough to hear and see those statistics of people that. Robberies that are thwarted because of concealed carry, but
actually, there's solid FBI data out there for that.
Is there?
Yeah,
because I looked, I didn't see any.
Yeah, there's actually solid FBI data. There's some independent organizations who actually break that data down and show you what concealed carry does in certain situations. So for next show, I'll try to find that if we happen to want to talk about that. But
yeah.
No, I think we always highlight the bad guy with a gun, but never the good guy with a gun.
Yeah.
This was a case where somebody had ill will to commit on innocent bystanders, and someone And I guarantee he was probably not the only one who pulled in Oklahoma City.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot of good old boys out there that I met. So he was probably not the only one. He was just the first one to get the shot off.
That's it.
So, or telling his some other guy probably told his girlfriend, "Hey, honey, hold this beer."
Yeah.
And it was already too late. So, but yeah, so this Hass goes off to this guy, and we forget these stories so quick.
Yeah.
Just like the shooting back in Texas at the church. We highlighted the two guys who drove off and chased the shooter away and then eventually shot the guy. We shared that story for about a minute.
Yep.
Highlighted the bad of the gun for even longer. So so I think we need to take these victories where the bad guy lost out that day. Yes, I think he injured a couple people, but
it could have been worse.
It could have been worse.
Yep.
And thankfully, somebody who carries for intention and good intentions saved the day.
Yep.
So,
all right. So we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have Serge Floredes.
Serge Floredes.
Why can't I get that right?
I couldn't get subsequently earlier. There you go.
Floredes. He'll be with us from Irish Whiskey Magazine.
Calling live from Dublin.
From Dublin.
Or Belfast. Yeah, one of the two.
One of the two. But that's still... Thank you, Skype. I appreciate that. All right, we'll be back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast.
Thanks for tuning back into the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. We have on our line today, we have our friend Serge Floredes from IrishWhiskeyMagazine.com. So please pause this podcast, go to IrishWhiskeyMagazine.com, check it out. He has a store there, and you can check out his magazine. Also, please go to his Facebook at Irish Whiskey Magazine. Also, great, just kind of a great kind of cool tool if you like different types of liquors around the world. Irish whiskey is probably one of my favorites. But anyway, you can check that out. Go follow him. See the wonderful work he's doing over in Ireland right now and the resurgence of Irish whiskey. But anyway, welcome to the show today, Serge.
Thanks very much. Lovely to be here.
Well, great. So where do we begin, man? You know, when I first discovered you several years ago, it was just something kind of watching on the peripheral. So how long you been doing Irish Whiskey Magazine?
So Irish Whiskey Magazine has been running since December 2016.
Wow. So it's a new baby.
Yeah, it's new. It's new. We've done 5 issues now. And so it's been running a year and a half. And I suppose it's something that's been in my head for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Registered the domain and everything, and finally plucked up the courage to go and give it a go.
Good. What kind of got you interested in Irish whiskey per se? Why not fish and chips? what drew you to Irish whiskey?
Yeah, I guess everybody has their vice, but for me, it's something that I came across growing up.
Right.
You know, my uncles, my dad, my granddad, they all drank whiskey. And, you know, Irish whiskey at the time, me growing up, was always a mystique in a way. It was something that the older gentlemen would drink in a pub in a dark, dingy bar.
Right.
On a cold winter's night. And it always had that kind of intrigue and mystique and a bit of romanticism about it. You know, and my granddad, he had a small shot of whiskey every day. And he lived to be 104. So
wow. Wow.
I'm not advocating it as a health product, but it didn't do him any harm.
Right. Well, I'm gonna take that as gospel, and I'm doing a shot of Irish whiskey every night now. So.
Serge, that's very similar to the stories of bourbon here in Kentucky. So I know that you guys have the Irish whiskey. We view the same thing as bourbon here in the States. You know, just the romanticism of bourbon right now is really, really hot here. So we can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, I think it's something maybe cross world. You know, it's a phenomenon that's taken off in the last really taken off in the last 5 years. I
Right.
would say, and a lot of that is due to what's been happening in the States and the branding of some of the bigger companies as well that have helped to revive the brand, Irish whiskey.
Sure. So if somebody picked up a Irish whiskey magazine, what all would be in that magazine?
Well, I mean, we have a couple of philosophies around what we do, and premium to that is that we create original content, content from the grassroots. So it's not the kind of commercial article that you're going to find in a bigger publication, perhaps, or one that isn't based here. We're fortunate that we have the capability to go and talk to any of the brands, blenders, distillers, people that work there, bar people, collectors. So it's very much a community kind of driven periodical,
Right.
but with a slightly different angle. And I think, I suppose because we're coming from it fresh, we can afford and we can take a few more risks and be a bit more innovative. We haven't established the massive customer base, so yeah, I think something genuine, innovative, quality is obviously something that we try to reflect, as in the Irish whiskey. So yeah, we're trying to push boundaries and make it approachable, but in depth as well.
Nice.
And do it in a nice looking way.
Well, I noticed the thing that impressed me about when I saw the magazine, and I never had held an edition in my hands until that night that you brought one down to the lobby of that hotel we were staying in Dublin. What strikes me is the quality. It's here stateside. There's several magazines that we call coffee table quality, stuff that you'll put out and just display for your friends and family and guests. And one thing I can kind of relate it to is a new Southern magazine called Garden and Gun. It's that high quality, high gloss pictures. I mean, it is something to be proud of. I mean, I was very impressed. I thought, to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was going to get. I thought I was going to get some kind of like tabloid rag newspaper, but no, that wasn't it. I got a nice, hard quality magazine.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're very proud of what we've produced. I suppose, again, coming in very green into the publishing business, we wanted something that was very tactile, something that reflected the quality of the product, and to put Irish whiskey in the best light possible.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate. We've got great printer with GPS color graphics. I have a fantastically talented graphic designer, Radek, and and he has no interest in whiskey. so he doesn't have the constraints that somebody may have. He can come in fresh and take a new viewpoint in it and really apply creative talents to it. Naivety can be a wonderful thing sometimes.
So I guess, what did you do before deciding to be the owner and editor-in-chief of Irish Whiskey Magazine? Have you been in the bar industry? What were you doing before this magazine came about?
Oh, yeah. Well, I took a very different career path to what you might normally take. I was in IT for 24 years.
Oh, wow.
So databases and networks are my background.
Wow.
In fact, if we go further back, I'm a mechanical engineer.
Wow.
Holy cow.
So
My understanding, that's
Thanks,
IT is a big part of Irish economy right now. Is that true?
yeah, it was a great ticket. It gave me a good career, and I'm very thankful I had that opportunities.
Right.
But things move on. Something challenging, something different.
Well,
And,
yeah. Let's talk about the Irish whiskey itself, because I'm sure. Look, probably the biggest misnomer with whiskeys is the difference between Scotch and Irish whiskey, and I'm sure the two don't want to be compared. So, what? I guess our listeners here, explain what Irish whiskey actually is. Maybe some of the part of the process of being made and how it differs itself from its Scottish cousins, but also its American cousins.
Yeah, well, I mean, Irish whiskey isn't that phenomenally different a process as such, and there are um, different recipes, if you like. So I think here one of the big things is we're blessed with perfect climatic conditions for growing barley.
Right.
Uh, so the quality of the barley, the farmers themselves, they're really producing top quality barley. So the ingredient is premium. The weather is ideal for making whiskey. We don't have huge variations in temperature, so relatively mild winters and certainly not very warm summers. Then we have, the climatic conditions. I suppose we're off the Atlantic coast, so that also helps. And then, we have traditionally triple distill our whiskey.
Nice.
Although to say that is one of the big differences is probably a misnomer. There are some Scotch whiskies that are triple distill, and it has a reputation of being a smoother whiskey. Now, I hate that term myself because it pigeonholes Irish whiskey
Right.
into a very distinct bracket, and Irish whiskey is far from that pigeonhole, especially lately, and even historically. Irish whiskey is moving into a new era now, in which they're experimenting. It's not necessarily about the smoothness; it's about the variety, it's about the finish, it's about the techniques. And then Irish whiskey has some tradition of what's called pot still whiskey. And if you really want to differentiate between Scotch and bourbon and other whiskies, Irish pot still or single pot still whiskey is synonymous with Irish whiskey, and that's a mix, if you like, of a mash from malted and unmalted barley.
Oh wow.
And in fact, if you go back further, you're talking about having other cereals in there like oats, wheat, rye. So the notion that it was just barley is actually a fallacy as well.
Wow.
You talk about different cereals. Do you ever mix any like Frosted Flakes or anything like that in there?
Lucky Charms. That was just a joke. You don't gotta laugh at that.
That threw me off.
Now, do they?
Could that be?
Is Irish whiskey? Is it aged in any barrels or any type of anything like that?
Well, I mean, Irish whiskey doesn't have to be aged in oak barrels.
Okay.
So the definition of Irish whiskey is that it is aged in wooden barrels for 3 years.
Interesting.
And so lately, and only relatively recently, that you're seeing finishes in chestnut and other varieties of wood, and that's certainly an area that you're going to see more innovation in.
So what is what's the future of Irish whiskey? I mean, because like we were there visiting, we noticed in some of the towns like Galloway and Dublin, they had these huge stores that were just nothing but Irish whiskey. You'd go in, do a couple shots, whatever, try a different variety. But we noticed a lot of Europeans. I actually saw some Middle Easterners. So I'm not exactly sure what the future beholds. I know it's being exported right now. It's one of the hottest liquors in the world is being exported. So what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think the future holds for Irish whiskey as itself?
Oh, well, I'm extremely optimistic about the future. I have to say. I mean, I've heard of upcoming releases that are, breathtaking in their innovation. So you're starting to see people producing, high percentage of rye, high percentage of other cereals. You're starting to see innovative casks. You're seeing, the number of distilleries growing from effectively 4 or 5 to the future looks like over 30.
Oh wow!
So, so now I think the emphasis is going to move from. I mean, there are so many brands out there, but originally they came from these 4 or 5 sources. Now you're going to have 30 different sources, and you're going to have some, hopefully, very exciting blends, some very exciting single malts and pot stills, and a lot of innovation, and people taking more risks. They have to stand out and differentiate themselves, and of course, traditionally the US has been the big market for Irish whiskey, but If you look east to Asia, that's certainly a market that is there for picking.
Right.
Irish whiskey's at a low base there, and probably around 1% of whiskey sold in Asia is Irish, so huge
wow.
growth potential.
Yeah. So
And you've government bodies now involved in programs like Origin Green, which talks about sustainability and terroir and organic. You're starting to see organic whiskey as well. So the world's first organic pot still there is done by Walsh Whiskey. So that's exciting. And then Waterford Distillery are doing some exciting stuff with barleys and sources as well. So it's very exciting times, and I don't think we're going to see an awful lot new for maybe 2 or 3 more years.
right.
We'll certainly see an increase over the next 2 or 3 years, but then I think we're just going to see an explosion of different varieties.
Well, I can tell you right now, I was kidding a candy store at at the airport, getting ready to leave at the duty free shop. Man, there was so much to choose from, and luckily I took your recommendation and brought back a couple bottles of what you recommended. It was quite delicious. Our pastor enjoyed it. Some men that came over and hung out of the house enjoyed it. So it was good stuff. I think I brought you a bottle too, right?
Yeah, I got the Bushmills. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Black Bush.
Careful.
Well,
So
there's no refunds if you've drank it. But yeah, as long as you didn't miss your flight as well.
No,
But
we wanted to miss the flight, but my wife
Sure.
wife wouldn't allow me to miss it because I was ready to hang around for another week or so.
no, look, I mean, there are some fantastic whiskies there out there now that are, very unusual cask finishes. Some in cognac, some in marsala, some
Oh wow!
in ruby port casks. Finished in Mizunara, Japanese oak,
Oh wow.
in chestnut. So it's almost. I mean, the danger is, of course, that something just goes too far out and it's too wacky.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's too wacky. There's nothing wrong with being too wacky. It's that there has to be the essence and the core of quality maintained in everything. And I think that's my only reservation about the potential growth of Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
If you've suddenly got 30 distilleries opening up, resources are stretched. And acquiring the right talent and the skill set to make a good whiskey, they're not that easily available.
So, Serge, you've got 5 issues out of the magazine. What all goes into making an
Magazine
edition?
copy, yeah.
Well, I mean, firstly, nothing is possible without the brilliant writers I have. And, it's one of the joys I have is that people that are enthusiasts, that really love and have a passion for whiskey, are able to put their voice through the magazine. And that's the biggest thrill for me. And without them, nothing is possible. So a lot of the ideas and concepts come from them. We do series with them. We do ad hoc interviews. We do ask people to write. We don't ask, and people are very generous with their knowledge, and they're very willing to share what they know, and a lot of them put it through in a very nice way. So certainly the volume and collecting information is not a problem. Sometimes collating and putting it all together and putting some structure around it is something that's difficult. And then,
A lot like this
as
show.
I said, yeah, well, like I said, Radek is a very, very talented designer, and he just gets it. And I talked to hundreds of designers before I started this, and I don't know what it was. He just got it. He just got what I was trying to portray, the way I was trying to portray it. So, the quality of the publication and the view has to match the quality of the content.
Yeah.
It's no point having a fancy box and then rubbish inside.
Yeah, that's right.
I've had bourbons that were like that had a fancy bottle, but you tasted it and it was awful.
I've had one or two. I've had one or two whiskeys that are like that too. Of course, not Irish, but others.
So, are you the only publication that solely focuses on Irish whiskey?
Yeah, to the best of our knowledge, yes, certainly from Ireland anyway. I haven't come across anybody else just specialising in Irish whiskey.
Oh.
And, that'll change. That'll change. So
Yeah, but you're the nose of the dog, baby. You're the nose of the dog. So it's always easy. It's always harder to jump out there, when you're the only person doing it. But when other people catch on,
I do think you need an element of competition, certainly to keep pushing the boundaries. But I think at the moment we're early, and it's important that every issue we push the boundaries further and increase the quality, and hopefully reach out to more people.
Maybe you should do maybe you should let us do an op-ed piece every magazine. It'd be are your American cousins tasting Irish whiskey for the first time, or certain brands? That'd be interesting.
I mean, we're lucky in that the team as a whole, they all want to improve all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we've set the bar high, and it can be difficult to keep pushing it, but it's important that we do.
Oh, absolutely.
It's important that we,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, just looking at the site, it looks like that it's only a physical copy that you can get. Are you guys going to go web and do that option?
Yeah, I mean, the next move will be to take a site that, even in our eyes, I mean, and looking at it close, we're not happy with the site. So our focus was physical copy first, and then we need to get the digital right. And there are two views on this. We can do a web site that will be very informative, and that's our first plan. And then the second objective is to actually create a digital copy. And we personally, I've been reluctant, probably up till now, to actually look into it, because I like the tactile feel of paper.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I don't know how easy it is to transform the immersive properties of that online or into a digital version. But I think we've found something very interesting, and it's going to be very different to your traditional digital publication, because the digital publication is not going to try and mimic a magazine.
That's right.
They're different medium, and we want a great experience, but we're not trying to mimic a magazine in a digital download or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, we have something in place, and I'm hoping within the next 6 weeks that we will be live with that.
Oh, wow. 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's our target.
That's great.
Yeah.
Even just looking at the covers, like, they're really, really well done. And it just makes me want to, even online, I'm just like trying to keep double clicking, double tapping it just so I can open it up, because I want to see a bigger picture. But yeah, the covers just look for lack of a better phrase, they just look sexy. They're really, really cool looking.
Well, the funny thing is that I get a lot of people saying they love the smell of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Now,
That's true.
I don't know if that reflects poorly on us, but yeah. Look, it's another immersive experience. So,
Right.
people want experiences, and what we're trying to do is provide genuine, authentic, innovative experiences,
Right.
and that's the way Irish whiskey is going. So we need to reflect that.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, my favorite issue so far was the Whiskey Ambassador magazine. I really enjoyed that.
Well, we only did that to sell to all the ambassadors. No, I mean, that was there's something about not having the face on a cover that really draws you into that particular issue. And, it's important that there's an awful lot of unsung heroes in the industry, and bartenders, ambassadors, farmers, graphic designers, marketers, salespeople. They're not necessarily given the credit and the front page that they deserve. This is there's the whiskey producer, but there's the whiskey community, and they deserve a voice.
And this episode, this issue number 5 actually has Kieran Keane on it as a face or as a person out there.
Yeah, so he's our first person to be on the cover.
Yeah.
And and that came about because I went to a whiskey tasting, a cocktail tasting in the Jameson distillery, and when somebody has the ability to portray the passion that they have for something, and it shows, then you're sucked in. You can't help but fall in love with the guy. You're just sucked in with both his knowledge and, he's just such a gentleman. But his passion is unbelievable. The guy has an engineering degree and an interior design degree, but he just loves people, and he loves giving to people of what he knows and what he makes. And it was just incredible. And, and we're going to follow that series up. We're planning on doing somebody very influential, unusually, I suppose, a woman in the next issue that has been a bartender, and give her viewpoint. So it's a little mini series that we want to try and give credit to those people. And, there's lots of people interested in getting into the business as well.
Yeah. I think in Kentucky, they just recently have got a female master distiller in one of the distilleries, and that's kind of a new trend now, is to have, trend, but like women, interestingly enough, they have way more taste buds than men do, and they can pick up more on the subtle
women were
nuances.
the same.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting. Yeah.
They do have better taste profiles and better taste buds.
That's what I tell my wife.
Physical thing.
That's what I tell my wife. She had good taste in me. So.
Well, a woman will smell the alcohol off your breath very quickly.
So true.
But, but now what I'm loving to see now is, even in the colleges that have started up that are teaching distilling, there's a large percentage of women. Our readers at the moment are between 25 and 30% women. At the younger age, they're over 30%. And I think that's vital that we include them more, and we're trying to get more women writers involved in the magazine. We interviewed Lisa Ryan in issue 5 from Walsh Distillery, and she's a groundbreaker, and there are others. There's other female distillers in other distilleries, and so there should be. There should be to bring something new, and even if it's not new, they're more than capable. There's no barrier there. Traditionally, of course, it was a very male-orientated business. But you look at key roles today, the key marketing people are women. The key ambassadors, there's an awful lot of women there. In terms of distillery managers, I would say the majority are women. And senior roles in major corporations, they're women. And they're doing a fantastic job.
Do you think the role of whiskey, Irish whiskey, in Irish culture, is it? You talked about the farmers. Now I know when visiting Ireland, I found out that a lot about the Irish economics, and also just a larger part of the country there is tied to the agriculture. So do you think that also ties into the lure of Irish whiskey being a part of the culture there?
Irish whiskey, it's in the blood.
Yeah.
It's in the blood. Yeah. And, if you slice an Irishman, you're probably going to find whiskey in there. But, but yeah, it is part of your heritage. It's one thing that Ireland do very, very well. They have the good conditions. They've had the innovation. They've had the hardships that have forced them to be innovative. Having, essentially barricades with trade barriers with the UK, points in history, not having their own lands, being taxed by foreign governments. They're all things that have led to innovation. The use of unmalted barley partly is certainly attributed to the malt tax that was imposed upon them by the English. So it's the farmers, I think, are going to be playing an increasing role, certainly. And I think that they are some of the best farmers in the world. If you look at the yield they're getting per acre, it's way and above what the normal is. And they're not doing it for the money because it's not a high payment.
Sure.
But I mean, that is an issue that does have to be addressed, so that the farmer gets a fair price for his grain.
Yeah, I think it's always a concern, even stateside here. That's always a concern. What the beginning products of making sure they get their fair square. So, well, Serge, we appreciate you coming on. Before we announce you out here, we have a little game, and I'll let JT tell you about.
So we're going to play a little game, if you like. It's called 10 in 1. I'm going to ask you 10 questions and see if you can get it in under a minute. Would you be willing to play?
Sure, let's no harm trying.
All right, here we go. All right.
Nobody knows me.
All right, we'll start the clock. Cocoa Pebbles or Lucky Charms?
I don't know what either of those are.
Oh, no.
We'll have to bring you a box next time.
What's the oldest whiskey that you've ever had?
I've had a 1951 Napogue Castle.
Wow.
I was
it
very
good?
lucky to have tried that.
Wow.
Fantastic.
What's your favorite magazine that is not yours?
My favorite, I like a magazine called Suitcase.
Okay.
It's a beautiful travel magazine. Inspiring.
I know it's not Ireland, but it is Scotland. Loch Ness Monster. Is it real or fake?
Call me a cynic. I'm going to say fake.
What kind of soap do you use, Dove or Irish Spring?
Irish.
Did you watch the royal wedding?
No comment.
What is your favorite place to visit in Ireland?
I love Donegal and Dingle.
What is your favorite Gaelic phrase?
There is a phrase that says, if you look out west and you can't see anything, it's because it's raining. And if you can see something, it's going to rain.
What is a place that you would love to visit?
I have a fascination with going to Japan.
Okay. And then our last question is, everybody has a spirit animal that they identify with. If you had a spirit food, what would it be? A food that you identify with the most?
A food?
Yes,
sir.
Chili con carne.
Wow, that's an awful one.
Wow.
Well, before we let you go, I just want to make sure we got all your social media plugs. You can go to his website at irishmagazine.com. Please go there. Actually, look at their combo packs. You can order single issue. You can order yearly subscription also. Beautiful. Once again, I cannot tell you how beautiful this magazine is. Go to his Facebook at Irish Whiskey Magazine. Any other social media plugs you want to put out there, Serge?
Well, no, I mean, everything on terms of social media, everything's at Irish Whiskey Mag. So we don't somebody typing too many words. So Irish Whiskey Mag. And then the website is irishwhiskeymagazine.com. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Oh, God knows what else now. There's so many of them.
That's right. A new one pops up all the time. So,
and you can also go to our show notes, and all that information will be there too as well.
Well,
I had my 12-year-old niece explain Snapchat to me.
Oh, no.
Well, I don't allow my kids on Snapchat, so that's no go.
That feels like it would be painful, or at least it sounds like.
That's right. That's right. Well, thanks, Serge. We appreciate you having on. Once again, I really appreciate him coming on. Like I said, I've had we started chatting online. I found his magazine through some whiskey lovers website or something like that on Facebook. But it was great to meet him in person. Now great to interview him. I've been trying to get him on for a year. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy this episode. You can please go to iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. You can find us there. We're going to be working on some other avenues pretty soon. You can also go to our Facebook page at Southern Fried Philosophy, or our Twitters and Instagram at SFP Radio. You can also go to our youtube.com/SFP Radio.
And as always, keep it rolling.